Howdy do! So in today's video, I'm going to be talking about Aurelion Sol, I think I'm pronouncing that right, the Star Forger, who just came out in full. His kit, his splash art, a little bit of a lore entry, his voiceover, it's all finally been revealed today. And that's part of why I waited this long to do this video, is because I didn't want to do like an initial reaction to just the teaser. I kind of wanted to do a full intake on his entirety, as it were. Quick disclaimer, comments are locked to help me moderate things like racism, sexism, pure hatred, stuff like that, and if your comment has none of that, it'll probably be approved and 100% guaranteed. That's all that's about, so feel free to comment away if you want. You don't have to, of course. Disclaimer over. Now, in the teaser, we saw him pretty much almost materialize out of like the cosmos, form a star, and then crush a star in his hand. So it was theory crafted a little bit that perhaps this was just sort of like a god of the League of Legends world. And prior to that, we didn't really have like a lot of god tier champions. Perhaps like the Ascension counted as the closest. So you had people like Azir, Nasus, Renekton, Xerath, stuff like that was kind of like, the tier they ascended. But it wasn't really like god tier. The only really thing that was like god tier in League of Legends was Baron Nashor and Valmaw. In which case, even though in the game you can defeat them with a team of 5 or a team of 3, in the lore it's described that it would take hundreds of champions to even fight these people, let alone defeat them. So I would actually, on a side note, kind of wonder what it would be like to see Aurelion Sol versus either one of those two. Probably Valmaw the most, just to get rid of spiders. I had a bad run with Valmaw just yesterday, as a matter of fact, and that just triggered my arachno legitimate fear all over again. Not arachnophobia, because phobia implies that it's an irrational fear, and I'm sorry, but there's rational reasons to fear some spiders. Like Grade A Andre made a video about that, and that's a story for another time. And this video, to keep it on topic, was going on the fact that now his voice kit's been revealed. His kit in game has been revealed. His splash art is up, and it looks really cool. And I might show a brief clip of the teaser, a brief, showing of the splash art. But if you want to see all of it, head over to either, League of Legends YouTube, or head over to Surrender at 20 in their latest post, which has a bunch of this. Because otherwise, if I just showed the whole video pretty much in my, video here, what would be the point of going to their video after all, right? So anyway.
Beg for mercy.
And with his voiceover coming out, you get a little bit of his attitude, so to speak. Some people call it sass. And when you find out like a couple things, but as usual, you won't gonna find out maybe about a bunch of lore stuff just yet until they decide to do more of those, expanded lore ideas. So first of all, you find out his name is Pantheon. So that was a shocker. He talks about dust a lot, so perhaps maybe he doesn't own a vacuum where he's from. Like a vacuum cleaner would be really nice. And he also has a really bad case of athlete's foot, as apparently he burns through footwear quite easily. He does mention money is barbaric, and so yeah, anarchy for everybody. Just anarchy all around, why not? And he does mention he's, in a sense, he's partly a dreamer because his feet never touch the ground. Even though that's also, obviously because he's a dragon. And he flies. So that was a bad joke. You can ignore that one. We're just going to move on. He does mention that ages can only be centuries old at best, meaning he's incredibly old, like chronologically. So he must be using steroids because he looks really ripped and in shape, though, because something's going on there. He does, however, mention that hats are somewhat like a fashionable thing. And as a hat guy myself, I have to give a nod to that. That is actually, yes, hats are pretty cool. At least one hat, I like my hat. He does also go into the fact that towers, he pretty much embodies how I feel about towers. Towers are like really weak right now. Like it's not even called tower aggro in this current meta. It's like towers mildly upset. Like that, there's nothing aggressive about what towers shoot at people. It doesn't save you, especially level 7. It's just over. Towers can't do nothing for you. He also makes fun of Runeterra as pretty much being defined as Magic Earth, and like the Ironhide joke in Transformers, so pretty much you could call the planet Magic Dirt. They named the planet Magic Dirt. He also mentions Starfire a lot, and that's of course because he's a Star Forger, but I have to make the joke that perhaps on the side he also watches a lot of Teen Titans. And hopefully the first Teen Titans. Teen Titans go to each their own, but I'm more of the original Teen Titans show fan myself. Cyborg and the Booyah and all that. But now moving on past all of that, we go into Aurelion Sol, and they did release a brief lore kind of discussion so to speak, that he once, was able to travel the vast cosmos, but now he's kind of been enslaved, so to speak, by like a spacefaring empire, and perhaps he's like enslaved to their servitude, and that's why maybe he's back in Runeterra to begin with. And so the whole theorycraft of him being a god, but the fact that he's being enslaved kind of, is counterintuitive, so to speak. But maybe, again, once more lore comes out, Targon events going on right now, we're going to find out a bunch more stuff about that, and it probably is pretty interesting and entertaining. Like, there's no ifs, ands, or buts about it. This guy is impressive, in my opinion. But the fact that he could be enslaved, it makes me wonder what the heck did he get enslaved by, actually. Because when the Targon event started, there was 2 missing spots, and those were also theorycraft that those were champions. And I'm assuming one of those is Aurelion Sol. The other one's been theorycraft that it's the Tark rework, since, with the reworks going on and the new lore direction, everybody's from Runeterra in some, sense or another. So if Tark is maybe some sort of like ascended aspect gems person, he could be the 5th one. I'm just gonna put it out there, like as a different direction. What if that 6th spot happens to do with whatever enslaved him or something? I don't know. It's pretty interesting to look into, though. Aurelion Sol, again, I'm not exactly sure I'm pronouncing that right, so by all means, feel free to correct me. But again, his kit's out, his voiceover's out. You can see all that on like a Surrender at 20, their latest post right now. You can check out the league's YouTube for the full trailer and probably the voiceover. I will post maybe like a couple seconds of it so that you can see and hear what he sounds and looks like with the splash art, a brief shot of the splash art. But again, you can check those places out for like a full, more in-depth look at what they look like. And that is all for this video, actually. I actually am pretty excited to see how he'll be when he comes out. What, where he'll go. Some people, as usual, most champions always end up in the jungle. You go into the jungle, but you never come out the same after all. Or you just stay in the jungle forever and you're one of the most annoying champions to play against, Lee Sin. Now, anyway, who knows? He might go mid, he might go top. It will be kind of interesting to see where he ends up. It'll probably be a learning curve like Tahm Kench, like Jhin. Those people who, it took a second for people to figure out how to use them well. Reckless went off with Jhin, at IEM, for example. Tahm Kench was highlighted at Worlds, where people finally figured out, hey, if I put him with like Jinx, for example, we can actually really win some games. So it'll be interesting to see where he comes out, where he goes, what he does, what team comps are formed with him, and stuff like that. So, and when the more lore comes out too, because I'm kind of a lore guy myself, that would be pretty fun to read too. So that's all for this video. I don't know when the next video is going to be, because life is full of a lot of kinks. But until next time, take care. GG, get jinxed.